Welcome to part 2. In part 1 of this video, I expressed my exasperation over my own failure to get this configuration to work. I figured that a good explanation of why I was disappointed in my own abilities was called for. So the nearest aircraft that the Merlin can be associated with is the Saab Grippen. In my ignorance or forgetfulness, it's fortunate that Flyout the game comes with a model of the Grippen. So what did I do? Naturally, I took that model out for a spin. I have to assume that the model is close to the performance of the real aircraft in most respects, and as I'll go into later, I think that's a true statement. At the very least, it's a good one-to-one, applies apples-to-apples comparison of aircraft within the game engine. To my surprise, I found that the Grippen model behaved an awful lot like my Merlin model. The canard configuration worked, but at the low speeds it still had issues with canard stalls, and at higher speeds the aircraft turned and banked with ease. However, I did notice that the stock model in the game only had about a 30-minute endurance, which wasn't nearly as good as my Merlin. Getting into the numbers of the aircraft, the stock Grippen seems pretty close to the real deal based on the numbers alone. The aircraft generates about 54 kilonewtons of thrust in the game, which is the same as the engine on the real aircraft per Wikipedia. The internal tank has 2,010 kilograms of fuel compared to the real world 2340 that's on Wikipedia, which also tells me the real aircraft has a combat range of 430 nautical miles and a ferry range of 1,700 nautical miles. Now, in fairness, the game Grippen doesn't have the external tanks that I loaded on the Merlin, so these numbers are probably correct and provides a nice one-to-one comparison. The addition of external tanks would probably extend the in-game Grippen to the 430 nautical miles and 1,700 nautical miles respectively. I also took a look at the controls of the canard wing on the stock aircraft. The canard on the Grippen has 3 inputs: roll, pitch, and alpha. The roll and pitch effectively turn it into an elevon or a flying wing of sorts. The alpha control clearly controls the angle of attack on some level, but I need to dig into the program to discover how it works better. Since I tend to build canards, this input may make my other designs, including the EA-113 Falcon, perform a little bit better. I also had another brainwave while I was exploring the stock model, which was reinforced by looking at the Grippen and the Eurofighter. The canards are located above the airflow of the main wing, which, in fairness, I should have figured out myself, since movement of the canard control surface can interrupt airflow over the wing and therefore diminish lift and control authority along the wing route. It's one of those learning moments where you realize you should have known better, but sometimes it takes actual application before you realize it. The new aircraft is able to sustain a 3G turn a hell of a lot easier than the last one, and its roll rate was increased from 150 degrees per second to 170 degrees per second. To be frank, this makes me feel a little bit better about the design. Having that one-to-one comparison is often a good way to evaluate your own doings, but I would be wrong to say that I was done with it. In the quest for better maneuverability and in the turning fight, I would have to take the Merlin away from the canard configuration and into something else. But that's a story for part 3. Since I didn't give you a gratuitous flying around montage in my last video, I figure I can at least give you one here. So, here it is. Enjoy the CF-10B Merlin flying around. quick shout out to all the comments in the previous video, especially RPM24258 for the excellent video on canard aerodynamics, and K Delta Z for trying to help me with the turn rate. While the turn rate in the game is given, it's given in degrees per second, and I would have to do math in order to figure out the radius of the turn. And frankly, I don't want to do that. I'm just a pilot. Please leave those comments in those comments section, and I may actually shout you out in a future video. Don't forget to throw us a like and hit that subscription button so I can do more videos like this one. And as always, thanks for watching.